kami all over the mountains, and the same with Buddha as well. And then, so we would visit them and then pray to them. So praying is an extremely important part, of course, to show your respect to nature, for giving us life, essentially. And then we do a whole lot of different rituals as well. So one is the waterfall meditation I mentioned. Sometimes instead of, or in addition to waterfall meditation, we would go inside like a cold river or something and it's called misogi. Like a evolution is what we call it in English. And then we do a whole lot of different rituals. And each of these rituals, so it originated through the 10 realms of Buddhism. There's like one realm is the beast realm, and for that we don't shave, or we don't do any personal grooming, or we don't even brush our teeth as well. And so that represents one world. And then waterfall meditation represents there's a Ashura world, which is all about becoming resilient. It's all about building resilience. So to be able to stay under the waterfall, it helps build your resilience. And then there's all these rituals that we do, and we do it on the Dewa Sanzan mountains. And the Dewa Sanzan mountains have been known as mountains of rebirth for over 1,000 years. And the reason for this is because people would visit these sacred mountains, then they would do this ascetic training or some special rituals. And when they emerge from the mountains, they feel like they have become reborn, like they have received a new soul. And so this is common around mountains in Japan, but it's what we do on the Dewa Sanzan mountains. And so we wear these white, they're called shiro shozoku in Japanese. So we wear these white garments, and this actually represents the clothes that the dead wear. They wear on the dead. And so the reason for this is because to have a spiritual rebirth, you first have to metaphorically die. You have to pass away. So which can be a bit scary for some people, but it's all in the promise of becoming reborn. So it's like saying goodbye to your old self and becoming a new self. And that's what the whole ritual is about. And one thing I really love is that the white clothes that we wear, they are to make us look like Fudomyo, who is a Buddhist god, Akala in Sanskrit, and he's such a cool guy, like just the immovable king, right? He's just immovable, just able to just stay resilient, and so we wear the white clothing to make ourselves like him. So to try and channel Fudomyo and to become strong like him. So when life hits you, so like for example, like my father passing away, so it's not easy, right? It was quite a tough. It is still quite a tough thing. But when I start to feel sad or grieving, I like to remind myself to stay strong, like Fudomyo, like the Yamabushi training has taught me. And we have, so unique to the Dewa Sanzan Yamabushi is Uketamo. And so Uketamo, literally, it just translates to I accept. And so we used to translate it as I accept with an open heart. But now we just I accept, just plain acceptance. And
So,
so,
when I got introduced to you, as in when I was reading the article on the speaking tree, which is a column which
yeah,
comes in one of the dailies in India called the Times of India.
yeah,
It was around surrender. The article was around surrender, and this is like a few months ago. And
mm,
that's where you were mentioned, and Uketamo was also mentioned. So, what exactly is it? Was the article which I really loved. And so, if you can take us through what Uketamo is and why and how you got associated with it. Is it part of
right.
the Yamabushi culture as well?
Yes, it is. So the best way to understand Uketamo is to come and do the Yamabushi training. Okay. There's only so much I can describe with words. I'm sure you already know that. And it's the same thing with like Yamabushi training. Like you can't describe it. Like you have to do it to be able to understand. And then it's also like because the lessons of Buddha are projected onto the mountains, and the only way to really understand it is to go and absorb it yourself, rather than having someone tell you about it. So to truly understand it, I'm afraid you're going to have to come and join us on the mountains. Um,
Because
but
in India, like you spoke some time back, you told us about Akala. So the same
yes,
in India also, there is this mode of surrender when we are in complete faith. The Bhakti Yoga Marga is completely surrender. So you kind of
I love
accept
it.
everything that is there, that is given to
Yeah,
you, and you just go with the flow. Is Ukatamo similar that you just go
I
with?
I would say it's exactly the same, maybe exactly the same, because it's about surrendering, it's about acceptance, and yeah. So how it manifests is that during the training, your master will say, we will now climb Mount Haguro and Uketamo, and you climb Mount Haguro, or we will now do waterfall meditation, Uketamo, you do waterfall meditation. And so throughout the training, we are constantly saying, sorry, the only thing you can say is Uketamo. And so during the training, the master will say, we will now climb Mount Haguro, Uketamo. No questions, no no complaints, nothing. You just do it. And throughout the training, there are many times where we just Uketamo, Uketamo, Uketamo. And this is because it's like to be able to become anew, to be able to create or to become a new person, you have to accept your current self. And so we're constantly accepting our current self to be able to move on. And so that's probably like the basic understanding of Uketamo.
So does
Um,
it have concepts of self-compassion and self-love as
yes,
well?
exactly. Yes, yeah. And it's not just following orders, right? It's not just doing exactly what the Yamabushi tells you, but it's also accepting your current self. Like maybe what would you say? So maybe you feel a little tired, or maybe tired isn't a good example because um or maybe you feel like you just don't have confidence to continue, but you get them all, and then you find that you can actually continue. So it's like a way of building self-belief as well. And it's often so you're kind of forced to do some of these things like waterfall meditation and stuff. Like if you really don't want to, you can quit, um but you're kind of forced to do these things. And uh, at first, you might think you can't do it, but if you get them all and you actually attempt it, you find that you can actually do it. And so it's a way to build self belief as well.